welcome to Apex Esports League. Unfortunately, tonight not going live due to some bandwidth issues I'm having with uploads, so I don't have enough bandwidth to be able to get to the stream out live. So this is actually being recorded live, but it will be uploaded once I get my internet issues resolved. So tonight we are on iRacing for round 2 of the Pagnian Imports Ferrari Friday Championship, and tonight's round is WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. Session tonight, there's 10 minutes of practice. Drivers are just heading into that session now. Weather is mostly cloudy. Then we have 10 minutes of qualifying. Weather is mostly cloudy and the race is 40 minutes. Same weather, and the cars are capped at 47% fuel that we'll need to see them head in for a pit stop. It standing starts with single file, restarts with lap cars to the back. So after round 1, we have Sebastian Van Del leading the championship with 155 points. Jai Schultz sitting on 127 in second place, and Callan Hodgins in third place with 103, with Blake not too far behind, only trailing by a couple of points. And then last week was round 1. We're at Red Bull Ring GP. Sebastian Van Del coming off to a great start to open the championship with taking a full clean sweep, getting the pole position, taking victory, as well as the fastest lap bonus points. So we'll jump over to the track now. Hopefully I don't have too many issues with getting this onto Twitch as soon as I can. I may be lucky enough to get it on tonight. My internet seems to start to improve a little bit later on in the evening, but it is definitely fine during the day, so I'll try and get it onto YouTube and Twitch during the course of the day. So I've got 14 cars currently loading up into the session. Got my Hardigan on track at the moment, as well as Corey Brand. Looks like Aaron Maguire trying to get around Daniel Gomes. So it's 3.5 minutes left of the open practice, and the drivers will have 10 minutes to set a qualifying lap, and there's 25 points on the line for taking pole position. And setting pole at Laguna Seca, pretty crucial to try and be able to pull away pretty quickly. It is a little bit of a cluster coming down into turn 1. Being mid-grid can start to get a little bit hairy, especially once you can start seeing nearly 4 cars wide, where that track then starts to narrow out as it comes down around the hairpin. So you see cars looking for track position very quickly, and it's usually a very high incident corner. Now to Sebastian, our championship leader. Have another strong run tonight, so it's only a 4-round series. He's going to be off to a very good start to be able to take the win for the championship. We should start to see some times on the board. Sebastian taking the fastest time so far, 1 minute 20.767. Blake Urquhart, 1.1 seconds off that pace. I was just about to say 1.7 as it literally changed. Improving his lap time by 6 tenths. Very nicely done for that lap for Blake Urquhart. Had Jai debut with us last week. Got on the podium, so a great opening debut race with Apex eSports League, so wishing all the best for him again tonight. And another debut joining us tonight, Damien Cross. And for those of you that regularly watch our streams, you will actually have seen him plenty of times before. He's made a jump over onto iRacing from Project Cars 2. This is Demon FX. So if you regularly come aboard and cheer on Demon FX, you can now cheer him on also in iRacing. So wishing Damien all the luck tonight. And also again come Thursday night with the GT4s. Through the list, I'm just having to actually just send through to let all our viewers know what the reason why we aren't live currently. So we've got 14 drivers currently registered. We've just had a little bit of wall contact. Blake having some issues getting out of the pits there. Hopefully it hasn't stung him. It is a very tricky pit lane. Pit entry not so much, but that pit out definitely does cause some grief to a lot of drivers. Max Harris. Max joining in late for this series. He's not a newcomer to Apex. We've seen him several times before. So good to see him out on track tonight. Team livery for Nathan Peters with Full Throttle Racing. We should see first time laps coming on the board now. Damien crosses the line, taking pole for 1:31, but they're getting other times quickly coming through. Daniel Games takes pole position at 1:31.69 for his first timed lap. Just ahead of Max Harris. A little bit of congestion going on. About to utilise a nice little slipstream if they can keep some good solid pace to what each other's putting out there. Pole position is just stolen away at 1:26.289. Very quick time for Sebastian. Showing he means business, wanting to continue this streak. Blake sneaks in with a 1:22. Damien also re-qualifying back in to a higher spot. Qualifying a 1:24.420. the Jai just reclaims that pole position. Seeing a lot of movement out there, some very tight times. First time lap for Stephen Banks, is it? Yes, that's a 140. It's probably the out lap most likely. And Robbie Bradbury joins us this week. To make it last week, he was watching it on the stream though. He was doing it all from Bathurst. So he was lucky enough to get away and see the great race. And it definitely was a fantastic race to sit back and watch. So it would have been great to have been trackside. Sebastian's reclaimed that pole position again. Oh, Max having a bit of issues, going for a slip. We'll jump on board for a lap with a driver in a moment. Daniel Games currently in 10th position. He's qualified at 1:30. That lap was a 1:38, so it's probably an out lap. Drew Mortensen qualifying in 11th. Drivers to get a time on the board, Matt Hardigan. And Nathan Peters is showing a time. Or it's actually putting him down as 14th, which is interesting. It's come for his previous lap time, however, not actually recording a fastest, so it's actually putting him down at the back. We've got Callan Hodgkinson, who's currently loading into the session at the moment. Sebastian leads the way with 4 minutes remaining to qualifying. Great shame not to be able to interact with chat. For this, I haven't actually done it recorded. So sitting here essentially talking to myself without having anyone to actually throw some feedback at or discuss things is quite interesting. When you are watching this back, don't forget to hit that follow button for Twitch, and also on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to that as well, and all our social media links. That is a shortcut to our YouTube, which is the bit.ly/Apex ESL. That is case sensitive, so it won't work if you don't get the capitalization correct. That is just because since we don't have a large subscriber count on YouTube, where you get the massive long URL to be able to bring it up, and that would actually take up the entire length of my social media links down on the bottom of this stream. Usually we are live on Twitch, 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That's on twitch.tv/Apex Esports League. You can keep up to date with all our results, standings and incident reports at our Facebook page. You don't need an account with Facebook. You can actually just view it from a browser. It's just set to full public, so you can actually just go in there and see our posts as we put them up with all our graphics. We do load them into the next week's race to be shown at the start of the session, as we did for tonight's round. However, we don't show the incident report, so that is actually all commented in on the post that we put up when we announce the results for a round. Philip Buckland qualifying at 1:28, getting in the 13th spot. Jump on board with Jai here. So flat out down, bit straight down into the hairpin. Hopefully we don't jinx him here. position data. This sector coming up is where it's going to be a lot of passes possibly made. Getting a perfect line along here, being able to utilise a lot of speed. He's going to be able to have some huge opportunities to be able to get some passing done. As they make their way up through the hill, get to the famed corkscrew. Bring that car over onto that curb, careful not to lock up and to dive over. A little bit of a cut. Registering off track, so it was just enough to be able to get a nice tight line for that corkscrew. And then taking us in for a view into pit lane. So then a very great last corner as well. A lot of passes will be done. So far we have Sebastian Vandel still holding pole position. He's qualified at 1:21.429. Jai Schultz qualifying at 1:21.870. Blake Urquhart very close. He's only 0.006 away from Jai's time, and that's it for the session. The drivers will have a short amount of time to get final laps done. They could potentially reclaim a position here. Those that already got the cars in have set their time. So a few cars still out on track. Not sure if there'll be enough time for Daniel to get another lap in. I'm not quite sure where he is at the moment. Down in the corkscrew. Should get enough time to be able to finish up one more lap. Gets a tidy line through that last corner. He's qualified 5th. Can't see previous times. Well, that is qualifying done. So we'll bring up results for the qualifying now. We have Sebastian Vandel taking pole position. Jai Schultz in position 2, followed by Blake Urquhart, Robbie Bradbury, Daniel Gomes, Stephen Banks, Corey Brand, Damien Cross, Max Harris, Matt Hardigan, Aaron Maguire, Nathan Peters, Troy Mortensen, Philip Buckland, and Callan Hodgkinson. He didn't get a time in. He was just sitting back. So he will be starting from the end. He's probably likely to have just not set a qualifying time in. He will have a couple of minutes to be able to ready up to at least be able to see him start from the grid. We should get a good looking view for the start here. Let's see if we can get a better looking view. Here we go. It's going to be a great spot to be able to see them get underway for the start of round 2. We've got 2 drivers left to load in, Damien and Callan. So you can see the time on the board, allowing the drivers to load up their setups. Now just waiting on Blake to load in. So 40 seconds. unfortunately, not being live, we won't be hearing any of the sound effects being played over the stream for the cheers and applauds with the Twitch plugins. So there's 14 seconds to go. Blake's cutting it fine. Probably rushed off for a quick pit stop himself. He's not back in time. Oh, he has hit ready, so we're going to see the lights start to get ready to go green. And they are underway to commence round 2 of the Pagnian Courts Ferrari 488 Championship. Very good start for Sebastian. Almost looking like it could potentially have been a jump start. I'll quickly try and bring up and see if he's been stung for anything. It doesn't look like it. It's just a very quick getaway. He's putting a good amount of time on the rest of the pack already. He's got 6 temps on Blake Urquhart. He's also got another 6 temps on 3rd position. So the 2 are pulling away very quickly. And it looks like a good, tidy start to the race. Doesn't look like we've had any incident by the looks of things. There's a little bit of spacing going on. Tidy line down through the corkscrew, gets away very quickly. Still holding that same gap between himself and Blake. Oh, runs off slightly wide. That's going to cost him some time. So he was pushing that gap out to 0.8. That's going to have definitely closed in. And we do get a slight delay in what it is showing. But actually still managing to hold Blake at bay. There's a battle going on for position at 5 at the looks of this. Actually, that's 4th position, 6. Looks like Aaron Maguire just made the pass on Stephen Banks. We're too wide down the back there. Robbie Bradbury passing Callan Hodgington. Damon Cross also in amongst that battle. He's tucking in behind Robbie. He's going to try and look for an opportunity to get around. We still have Sebastian furthering that lead on the race. He's got 1.2 seconds at the moment. And then a further gap has been set between Blake and Jai. Steve Banks closing that gap back down on Aaron Maguire, wanting to reclaim position 6 back away from him. Max Harris gets a very good run down on Daniel Gomes. They're going to be too wide coming down to the final corner. Almost squeezing him out. Both having an equal claim to the corner by the looks of it. It's going to be in an awkward position coming down to turn 1. Almost out. There's a bit of contact. He's spun out. Will he be able to roll off track? He's avoided a potential safety car incident. I think that's just put Aaron Maguire slightly off. And there would have been a little bit of marbling on the track from that. It would have sprayed out as he'd gone down. Well, there's just been contact at the top. I think it's Daniel Gomes that's just made a hit and he's just had to tow that car in. So that avoids a safety car. Aaron Maguire also in the pits and must have taken some damage in amongst that. So we are getting some strange figures once the drivers do hit in that tow button. Occasionally it throws the standings out. So it's showing Sebastian currently in 3rd. So that's because Daniel and Aaron have both been towed and actually moved to the front of the lap. So now they cross the line. Also in the pits. And looking like Daniel Gomes exiting the session after that. go back and see what happened for Aaron Maguire. See if we can get a better look. Oh, that is very unfortunate. So he's just spun out in front of him, both of them towing out. Costing Aaron a significant amount of positions there. Especially after already avoiding the spin on the corners just before. And look, Blake's still trying to close that gap down on Sebastian. He's got 1.8 seconds. And these two absolutely pulling away from Jai. There's now a 7-second gap between Blake and Jai. And Jai also pulling away from position 4. Callan Hodgkinson in P4. He's about 10.5 seconds away from P3. Damien Cross doing well with his debut race with iRacing. Up in 5th position. There's 33 minutes 45 seconds remaining. We did see some relatively late pitting at Red Bull Ring last week. They were almost going to try and get through and conserve fuel. We saw Sebastian and Jai having to dive into the pits in those last laps. And we saw Blake Urquhart really trying to conserve fuel, actually tucking in behind a pack of back markers for a while, just conserving that fuel out as long as he could. Not sure if Phillips might have just ran wide then, showing that he did run off track. Harris and Daniel Gomes both retiring out. Driver heading into the pits already. That's Nathan Peters. That's Philip Buckland and Robbie Bradbury. Robbie moves up into position 8. Have Matt Hardigan, Corey Brand closing in very quickly. They did get that down to only a couple of attempts, and it has started to spread out a little bit. Got about a second on him now. Track temperature currently at 24 degrees, ambient is 23. Looks like it's possibly gone to not quite, still down as mostly cloudy. So we do have an ongoing weather variation set to 20%, so we can see some change to the weather over the course of the race. But the relative humidity dropped to 1%. So it is pretty good track conditions out there currently. Pretty sure we've got Sebastian out there with the fastest lap of the race. He's set a 1:21.580. His previous lap was a 1:21.720. Last lap, Blake was only 2 tenths off of Sebastian's time. And he's starting to drop away ever so slightly. He's now down to 2.4 seconds. this pace, we're probably going to be seeing Sebastian doing some lapping very shortly. We do have cars currently 1 lap down. That is only because of having to head into the pits. And if those drivers did utilise and get in enough fuel to be able to last out the remainder, they should be able to reclaim a few positions. Again, trying to close down in on Corey Brand. Damien Cross still holding 5th position. Currently 14 seconds behind Jai. Still holding P3. He's coming up to some lap traffic. Speed before getting on those anchors coming down into the hairpin. He's got a very nice safety net between himself and position 4. He's got 16 seconds. Can really try and focus ahead. He has not got any pressure behind. Try and look at closing that gap down to Blake. So we've got 1, 2, 3 for the midline sim racing cars. Sebastian showing no sign of wanting to slow down whatsoever. He's still getting some very tight times out there. The previous a 1:21.893. Still well ahead of P2. Last lap around was 1:22.396. Jump on board for a lap with Sebastian. He's absolutely flying around here. So we don't jinx him. Great throttle control coming out of Andretti hairpin. This is a full length of track here. This is the sector where the fast drivers will make up most of their lap times. You got to get right out to that curb. Use as much of that track as you can. You can run out rather wide, drop a little bit off into the dirt, so you can get that next apex perfectly. This is a textbook lap here. Tricky bit here. That car nice and straight under braking, ready to be able to take this. Nicely done. Cleared that curb perfectly. Carries that corner at a nice 160 kilometers an hour. Slippery, uses that full exit curb so you can utilise as much of that mid-corner speed. Push out, that was a 1:22.318. That's a great lap set by Sebastian. That's almost just under a second slower than the fastest lap that is set in the race so far. And that was still a very quick lap. That was the fastest out of all previous laps around. 1:22.319. Next times is Blake, who set a 1:22.678. Robbie's starting to catch up to Corey Brand. We did have Matt Hardigan. He's trying to close that gap in. Oh, and he's just ran wide. That's cost him. That could have gone much worse though. He only just loses the position. He managed to keep that well under control out in the dirt. It was like that thing did not go into a spin, just keep sliding out into the tyre walls. Would have been requiring a tow. So we'll make our way through the current standings. Troy Mortensen running in 13th position. Aaron Maguire in 12th. And in that, Troy has actually been in and pit. It was a short pit stop, so it wasn't from having to tow in. It was only 10.7 seconds. So probably a fast repair. Maybe a quick splash of fuel. Nathan Peters also been in a pit. 20.9 second pit stop. So drivers do have fast repairs, so they can actually at least get the cars back in and not be out for the race, requiring lengthy 15 to 30 minute repairs when there's significant engine damage. So it is not race ending by taking catastrophic damage. They can get back out there and keep racing. Stephen Banks currently in 10th position. He's also been in pit. The rest of the standings ahead, all the drivers not been in pit yet. Those drivers not needing to have to head in and pit again. They're going to reclaim some positions. Stephen Banks is currently 13.5 seconds away from Philip Buckland, who will need to get in and pit. However, we could very well see some fuel conservation going on. Or maybe it was definitely a huge strategy of drivers only just throwing in some fuel just to be safe towards the back end and potentially being able to make it, and one driver running out on the last lap. Matt Hardigan currently in 8th position. Corey Brand in 7th after losing 6 to Robbie Bradbury, running wide. And it was just around on this corner, I believe. Robbie Bradbury in 6th position. Corey's still hanging on. He's got 3 seconds to catch back up to Robbie. Damon Cross still holding well in 5th. He's got about 8 seconds between him and Robbie. And it looks like he's slowly closing that gap down in on Callan. Last lap, Damon set a 1:24.551. Callan set a 1:27. And they both did just cross the line. Callan setting a 1:24.5 and Damien almost a 1:24 flat. So quickly closing that gap in. He's got 6.7 seconds to catch. And if he can get him by about half a second a lap, there's just under 20 minutes remaining. He's definitely going to be able to close that in. But these cars are going to start getting a tad light. Track temperature's gone up slightly. It's 25 degrees. Our race leaders still well spaced out at front. It's not often we get to see significant gaps between the leading few. Blake coming up to some lapped cars. The KFC Century Motorsports cars. This car, that is Stephen Banks' car. There is S number 777. So blue flag will be up for Stephen. Stephen's still putting down some pretty good pace. His previous lap was a 123.7. Blake a 123.1. Stephen keeps some consistent pace. You can definitely see Blake possibly tuck in behind and maybe try and conserve some fuel. Utilise Stephen's slipstream. Well, he runs wide though, it's cost him some speed. Blake having to avoid. So advantage gone. You see Stephen quickly jump straight into the line of Blake. Start utilising that toe. And Stephen having already been in and pit. If he can last out these remaining 18 minutes, he could be in a pretty good position. He's running 8th. And Sebastian is absolutely flying out front. Every one of his laps, the quickest one out there compared to all other drivers. Still has not beat his fastest lap set on the race. He set that early on, a 1:21.580. And he's got an astonishing 20-second lead over position 2. And we're seeing very quick pit stops around probably 10 to 15 seconds. Probably get some fuel. Ooh, some contact. That was Nathan Peters. Not sure what was going on. Sebastian, I'm not sure if he's taken some damage. We might go back and just see what was happening there. So, following the chopper. So blue flag would be shown to Phillip. Oh, and he positions himself up. So he does get in there and own that track position. Probably slightly little risky, especially with that strong lead on the race. He doesn't want to get caught up in an incident with any of the lapped cars. It could be race ending for him at this stage. Oh, it's just been a big spin in out behind. Not sure who that is. That was Stephen Banks. Just went for a big spin. Not sure what happened. I think he may have actually just dropped a wheel out. Well, quickly go back and just see what went on for Stephen. Dropped the tyre just ever so slightly off. That's a solid hit. That's going to be some suspension damage for him. Yeah, that steering well crooked. Yeah, that very convenient right at the pit entry. So tow would be very costly here. Stephen comes in, is a fast repair, gets back underway, but he did already pit, so he did not really need that. That's cost him some extra time. See Stephen in position 10. Aaron Maguire in 11th. He did have issues early on. Himself and yeah, I think he made contact with Daniel Gomes as he'd spun. I think Callan may have actually just gone out as well. Well, go back, so I think he may have actually retired. So we'll have a look and see what went on. So dropped the tyre off, similar to Stephen Banks. Just threw it into a spin. Let the car roll off track to avoid traffic. That was a pretty solid hit to the rear. I'd only be a bit of aero damage. I don't think there'd be anything done to the rear axle. And then it looks like he blinks out. I'm not sure if he's still in the session or not. Looks like he is. Callan put him down to 12th position. We've got Troy Mortensen in 13th, who's just moved up into 12th. So having Callan retire out, that's now seen Troy move up a position. So make sure I'm actually running live here. Yes, I still am. We have Sebastian Vandel leading a massive 22.4 seconds over position 2. There's 13 minutes remaining of the race. Still holding the fastest lap. He's the only driver to get the car down into a 121. The next quickest is a 122s. That's a 122.996 set by Jai. Damien into the pits at the moment. He's getting some tyres done. Oh, just heard some there's some wall contact that's just gone on for Sebastian. Oh, it's unfortunate. So I think it is that Aaron Maguire, Matt Hardigan. He'd gone out for the spin. Not sure whose car that is. Sebastian seems to be faring well from that. Now back live. Sebastian still holds that lead. He's got 16.3 seconds. He's lucky it was only a very minor incident with that. I wonder whose car wasn't the... So I think that was Matt Hardigan's car that spun out. I was lucky it didn't require a safety car, because it would have then quickly closed that gap in for Sebastian, where he's heading in for his pit now. Blake decides to stay out on track. There's just over 10.5 minutes remaining of the race. Back in it. So you'd have a lengthy tow, so he must have just been away for a little bit whilst the car was being towed. So it's put himself down a couple of laps. And then Matt Hardigan will be able to try. He's in 12th position. Callan will be able to reclaim that. He's only got a lap to make up for. That's Nathan Peters and Philip Buckland's car. It's both in the full throttle racing. Nice and easy to pick out these guys' cars. Very tidy. Blake Urquhart now comes into the pits. Sebastian did an 11.8 second pit stop. Reclaims that lead. Jai also heads into the pits. Blake revving away, patiently waiting to be released. Comes back out about 17 seconds away from Sebastian. Just over 8.5 minutes remain for the race. Callan now back out on track, moves up into 12th position. So retired drivers Matt Hardigan, Max Harris and Daniel Gomes. Daniel only getting onto lap 2, Max Harris on lap 3, Matt Hardigan on lap 18. So Callan just crossing the line onto lap 19, reclaiming that position after having that spin, requiring the tow. Slightly longer pit stop for Sebastian compared to Blake. Blake did 10.4. Jai in and out, 10.5 seconds. So was there a tyre change done for Sebastian? Could that be the slight bit or just a little bit of extra fuel? Midline sim racing car that's just nearby Blake. So going on to the blimp, have a bit of a better look. So no one around Blake for a while at this point. He's got a nice little cushion. He's got 13 seconds between himself and Jai. He's still got 17.6 seconds to try and catch up to our race leader, Sebastian Vandel, is also possibly going to be able to be in a very good position for a second clean sweep. So it'll be 2 consecutive clean sweeps. It'll be a good way to be leading the championship with 2 rounds to go after tonight. Another great track next week with Sebring International Raceway. We'll make our way down through this. Robbie Bradbury currently in 4th position. Has been in and pit. A very quick stop, 9.5 seconds. Corey Brand in 5th. Damon Cross in 6th position. Bit of a gap between himself and Corey. He did have quite a lengthy pit stop, so he may have swapped out some rubber. And then Damon is only just new to all of iRacing. So he's still got a lot of ins and outs to learn. Being able to utilise getting in and out. It is very much for those that don't play it. It is very different compared to project cars. It's an entire different world. Do enjoy both the platforms very much. And Stephen Banks in 7th position. Oh, he's just ran off wide. Can he save that car? He's already been in with some damage already. He can't afford another hit. He manages to get that car under control. Camera guy in 8th position. That's Callan just in behind him. Callan's a couple of laps down. He's on lap 21, Aaron's on lap 23. He's heading into the pits because he did have that tow early on in the race. So he's obviously needing to get a quick splash for fuel just to last out these remaining last few laps. So there's only just under 4 minutes remaining. So Philip Buckland was in 9th position. And these cars quite nifty, actually showing what position they are on track. So you can see the number display up on the right hand side of the windscreen. So I think that was Philip Buckland going into the spin. It's been a very lucky race, not needing safety car to come out. So it would have then put some pressure onto Sebastian's lead. Callan looking to unlap himself. Here's a lap down on Philip, so Philip probably not wanting to actually fight for that for track position. Just let him on through. There's only 2.5 minutes remaining. And he is a lap ahead of him. And depending on what drivers are actually using for their displays, they may not always be aware whether they're racing that driver for position. So I do like to use the relative position so it'll actually show what position is held by the car in front of you and behind. It won't be actual standings. So you can tell if that car behind you is in need of letting through because they're a race leader, or if they're a lap down, you can just let them through, not take a risk of getting involved in an incident. Or whether you need to defend your line and fight for that position. So there's only going to be a couple of laps left in this race now. Sebastian has a huge lead, 20 seconds. He got out to this gap before, and then he did make contact. I think that was with Philip Buckland. Blake up in P2, trailing by 20.2 seconds at the moment. He's got a good 17 seconds ahead of position 3. That's going to be a 1-2-3 for Midline Sim Racing. The guys looking to run very well. Robbie back into the pits again. Needing to get some fuel, probably just to get this last lap out. It's going to be costly. Corey Brown's going to get him on pit straight. Well, he's been released. He's going to be racing him out of pit exit. And he does come out rather ahead of the hairpin. Oh, he's going to be nearly near fighting him. He's going to sneak just in front and defend that position. That was very close to come in for a quick splash of fuel. That was 9.5 seconds in pit. there's 10 seconds remaining. Depending on where Sebastian is. He's actually reducing the pace so that we will see this come up as the last lap. Oh, he's ran out of fuel. I think he has run out. Or is he just slowing down for a 1-2-3 finish with the guys? He's leading everyone ahead. He's got 1.6 second gap between Blake. It's an impressive drive for this race for Sebastian. Blake almost taking away the opportunity for the clean sweep. Ended up doing a 1:21.789 for his fastest lap. In comes Jai, so they're probably on their Discord talking to each other at the moment to do a 1-2-3 across the line. Because they have a full 1:39 between the rest of them. Here we have Sebastian taking top of the podium, crossing, taking the checkers. Blake in P2, Jai in P3. Well done, guys. A superb drive by Sebastian. We have Robbie in position 4. Corey Brand quickly closing in. I think KFC Car's not sure if he's slowing down to be able to do a close crossing of the line together, or if Corey's just getting the upper hand on him. He's going to race him for some position here. That's the final lap. Oh, I think he's gone for a spin. That's cost him big time. I don't know if he's taken any damage. Damien in 6. Sebastian doing some victory burnouts. And we will bring up the results. Yeah, I'm not even sure if they're going the right way on the track there. Then we have results for round 2 of the Pagnian Ferrari Friday Championship. Sebastian Vandel taking the victory, and looks like a clean sweep with the fastest lap, a 1:21.558. So that's 2 consecutive clean sweeps to the championship. So well done, Sebastian. And then also Blake on the podium P2 and Jai in P3. So 2 podiums in his debut championship with Apex eSports League, so well done there, Jai. And then the rest of the standings have Robbie Bradbury, Corey Brand, Damien Cross, Stephen Banks, Aaron Maguire, Philip Buckland, Troy Mortensen, Nathan Peters, Callan Hodgkinson, Matt Hardigan, Max Harris, and Daniel Gomes. So we'll bring this up and see if the guys are actually in the Discord. Let's see if we can interview with them. They may be possibly not, with this not being live streamed. They're definitely having some fun out on the track there, however. It's a very impressive drive with them. Those look like they're jumping in on to the Discord. So that's okay. We can wrap that up, and unfortunate for us not to be able to do this live. Did miss not seeing guys on the chat. So we'll be hopefully all issues resolved coming for this Thursday night with the Project Cars 2 series. Sebastian's still having lots of fun with that car. And then we have conclusion of round 2, Pagnian Ferrari 488 Championship at Laguna Seca. And next week for round 3 is Spring International Raceway. So can we see Sebastian Vandel dominate again and make it another consecutive clean sweep? So he seems to be in very good form. He's a bit of a gun in GT3 cars, so it's great to be seeing him out there dominating in these Ferraris. So thanks for tuning in. I know it's unfortunately not live, but do hit that follow button if you're jumping in on Twitch, and also hit the subscribe button for us on YouTube. So thanks for tuning and see you trackside next time.